Welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. Today I have a beautiful painting, very simple. It may not look simple, but it is simple. Beautiful colors from Deco Art of their premium line, and I want to show you the richness of these colors. I'm only using a variety of blue, 3 blue, a white, and a black, and that's it for this painting. Okay, I am using an 11 by 14 Frederick's Red Label canvas. They're so kind to send me these beautiful canvases. And I did put another coat of primer on it. And the primer I used is a chalky gesso in white. Now, I use the chalky gesso on most of my paintings before I start when I want a smoother finish, okay, including oil paintings. And it is wonderful to use, okay? So I'm going to jump right in here because I am really excited about showing you how to do these simple bubbles. So what I'm doing first is I'm using a big brush. This is a number 1 Deco Art Traditions brush, and I'm going to start out just with some white, titanium white, okay, again from the premium line. And just going to start jumping right in here, getting some white on the top, okay? So we want our little Stingray there to look like he's kind of swimming up to the top, all right? So there's some white. I don't know if you can see it, but believe me, that white is there, all right? I'm going on to the Cerulean. Now, what I want to do is I want this to graduate in okay? I'm not sure if that's the right word, graduate, for that. But I want the colors to start to get darker and darker as we go to the bottom. You could start with the dark and go up, okay? But in this case, I want to start with a nice fresh white. So that's why I'm starting with the lighter color first, all right? There we go. I'm going to take some cerulean, but I'm not going to use it straight because I don't want it that dark yet. So I'm just going to come over here and mix it up. I see I got a little bit of dryness in here. I'm going to move that over, move it out of the way, all right? And I need a real pale blue. There we go. Okay, so there is my pale blue. Now, I'm going to start to blend it a little bit, okay? And I'm blending, and I'm kind of going in a U, all right? You can see how I'm kind of going this way, kind of a U, all right? Just blending, getting a nice finish on there, okay? Now, I'm going to move down a little more and take a little more blue and add it to that same pile. I just want to make it a little darker. So this would be called a value scale, okay? Because I need to make it darker. So I'm going up the value there, okay? So there we go, a little shade darker. Now, going right across, getting that nice blue on, and then I will lightly come back and forth and blend it up. All righty, now, I think that looks pretty good so far. I'm going to go and get more blue back into the same pile. Darken it up a little bit more. All right, let me see if that's darker. Yes, it is. And blending again. I don't have to over blend because it makes it look like water. Now, again, more blue. Let's see if that's darker. Yes, it is darker, okay? So you can test it and adjust it. I just happen to be getting lucky here, all right? Now that I have that beautiful cerulean blue on, I'm going to move along to some cobalt. Now, I'm holding my palette up so my paint is moving a little, okay? Just a little, though. You can see I had it straight up and it hardly moved at all. It is a nice, rich paint. All right, there we go. There is some of the cobalt. And let's see how that is. Very good. And I want to blend it in a little bit in between. And see some of that white's coming out. That's what we want. That is why I am not washing my brush. I want some of that color to be pushed out. I'm going to put a little bit more. I want to go a little further down and swoop it up a little bit more. And you can see I'm just moving back and forth. You can see it's a little dry, just means I need a little more paint. Now, you can use the blending medium on this, and I'm not using it because I want my paint to tack up pretty quick since I'm doing the show. If at home, when I did my example painting at home, I did use the blending medium. It keeps your paint wet longer, okay? And a little bit more blue. And then I'm going to go to the darker blue. Now the darker blue is the ultramarine. And I'm going to take just some ultramarine. I'm not even washing my brush, but I am going to start now at the bottom because I want it the darkest at the bottom. And that's what's going to help give it some depth. All right, so there we go. I'm just going to push this paint out of the brush, and I'll go and get more blue. And pushing the paint, and there's still the paint in the brush. So as I push the paint out, you can see I'm turning it on the side. I'm getting all that paint out of there. All right, and then if I have to put more dark on the bottom, more of the ultramarine, I can just go right ahead and put that ultramarine. All right, and I think I will get a little darker on the bottom. And I'm just going to move that up a little bit. I want to fill in the tooth of the canvas, even though I have that primer on. All right. And like I said, I'm not using the medium. I could use a little, but I'm not going to because I want to have it tack up a little so it's a little easier for me to get those nice bubbles on. Okay. So again, one more time on the bottom with the dark. And there we have a nice depth. A little more dark over here. And what I'll do is when I start the bubble, since this is going to be wetter down here because I added another layer, I'll do the bubble that's going to be on the bottom last. Give it a little time to tack up. And there we have it. Okay? So you can just in your mind imagine that this is the top of the water, and as you go deeper, it gets darker. Okay? So I'm done with this brush. I say every single show, you cannot have the paint in the ferrule, which is that silver part, okay? So make sure it goes in the water. I'm just going to squish it back and forth a little. I'm just going to leave it in there, all right? Now, what I'd like to do now is I'm going to start showing you some bubbles. This is a lot of fun to do bubbles. And I can show you with a bunch of different brushes because these bubbles you can do with a variety of brushes. What I want you to do is try a couple different brushes and see what you're most comfortable with, all right? So right now I have a round brush, and this is a number 5, okay? And I'll just hold this here. And this one is the Filbert number 8. So I'm gonna start off with the Filbert, all right? I'm going to go on the top. I have little bubbles on the top, and as they come down, it's a little bit darker. The edging is a little darker. I wanted it a little lighter on top, because if I used the ultramarine on the white, it would be too dark, all right? So I'm going to go into the Cerulean blue first, and I'll show you how I do the first bubble. So all I'm doing is I'm going to take the Cerulean and make a little part of a circle, and that's it. I'm going to just wipe it off my brush a little. I'm going to come and get the white. Okay, there's still blue in there, so it's not going to be pure white. And I'm going to make the rest of the circle. There's the rest of the circle. Okay, going to wipe off my brush again. And what I can do is I can take a little blender brush. This is a dome blender. And I can just come in and dab a little and blend it. Okay, so really all I did was smush around a part of a circle. Okay, and I'll hold my brush here also. All right. Now, what I need to do is get some highlight on there. Once the highlight comes on, that's it. That's when we have the bubble, all right? So I'm just switching my brushes around here. I want to just put this down and get myself in a better position. All right, here we go. So I'm just taking the round brush now. I'm going in my white paint, rolling it. This way I have nice white paint. I have a little hair sticking out there. I'll try to turn it. All I'm going to do is I'm going to come on the bottom and on the top and put a little white, okay? Once you put that little bit of highlight, that's what's going to make it look like a bubble. Here I go. I'm just going to squish that a little, fuzz it out a little bit more, and get a little brighter on top. And you'll see how it's going to look like a bubble. There we go. Okay? That's it for the bubble. All righty. So let me see how we're tacking up pretty good down there. It'd be easier when I show you a big one. So I want to go to a big one just in case I don't have time to do the 9 bubbles that I did there. I want to show you a nice big bubble. Okay. So let me just switch my brushes around and get myself a little organized. There we go. Okay, now I'm ready. I want to hold my brushes because I may use them all right? I'm going to go back to the filbert brush again into the ultramarine. And I'm going to do a nice big bubble down here, all right? So let's see, right about here. And here's my part of my circle there. All right, there it is. Now I'll just wipe on the paper towel a bit. I'm going to go into the cobalt blue. I want to get some other color blue down here now. All right, and I'm just making the circle. It doesn't have to be an exact circle. There it is. Okay, so I can take my blender now and just blend this a little. I'm just kind of dabbing and pulling the color in. All right, this is already drying a little, so I have to push a little harder. And that's okay because I am going to put some white on there. I'm not even washing the brush, just going and getting a little bit of white. And I'm going to put some white here, some white up here. Okay, go back to my blender, blend a little. I may want to put a little here. Okay, so really what I'm doing is I'm just putting the dark, the lighter, and the highlights, the mid shade and highlight. And I'm just switching my brushes back and forth, okay? There's a few different ways you can do this. Oh, my tip there is not so good. So let me roll this around. I don't know if you saw that. Okay, I want it to roll around so I have a better tip. I almost went back in, but I have enough paint and outlining a little, okay? So that's pretty much how you can make a bubble. Now, if this looks non-transparent in the middle, I can just take my dome blender and I can just come in and very gently rub some white on there. So what you'll have to do is after you do a couple bubbles, you'll be able to stand back from it. You want to stand back a few feet, and then you'll take a look at what your bubble needs. I'm going to do another one, okay? Because after you see it a few times, then you'll be like, oh, I get it. So I'm just wiping off my brush a little. I'm going into the ultramarine again, and let's come about here and do one. So here we go, another big bubble. All right, there is my ultramarine, and I can even blend a little while I have it on the brush. All right, I'm just wiping it off when you see me go down there. I'll come into the cobalt blue, get some cobalt blue on, and I'm trying to go a little bit slower. I'm gonna blend a little. See how I can blend with this brush? I can just lightly blend after I paint it on. Okay, then come in with my white. And I will put a nice splash here. All right, and I'm gonna outline a little down here. I can outline, then I can come in and blend a little. Actually, I can come in and put a little bit of the lighter color in there too. I can go back to the cerulean. So I'm just mixing the colors a little just to give a little, it's almost a depth. Even though it's supposed to be a little transparent to see through it, it's almost like giving it a little depth, okay? Back to my blender, and I'm just rubbing, okay? So there's another bubble, all right? Now, if you feel like this line in here is too harsh, you can do what I said over here, and you could just come in and you just rub it in there a little bit and blend it out. Let me do another. And wiping my brush off again, coming back to the darker color, the darkest of the blues that I have here is the ultramarine, and I can come over here and let's put another one. Now this one I won't make the same size, okay? So I'm making the bubbles different sizes, and I'll just blend this like this a little bit. Because my paint, I'm going by how fast the paint is drying, and it is drying pretty fast, so I'm blending in the beginning a little bit rather than blend at the end. Now there is a blending medium that I can use. But I do want it to dry a little fast so I can go on, so I'm not using it. But at home, I would use a little blending medium. So I just want to put a little white in there. And to show you, we'll give that little illusion of the bubble. You see, so I actually am doing each bubble a little different. And then you can pick which one you like best and what's easier for you to do. And what brush you want to use. I'm using a whole bunch of brushes, and it can be done just with one brush. So I'm going to come down here. Again, get some white in there and some white up here. So once you put that white on, that's what makes it look like a highlight, okay? So I'm going to put that brush down for now, because now I'm holding too many brushes, and I'm going to go back to my filbert brush, all right? I want to blend that out a little bit more. There we go, okay? So there we have a few bubbles, okay? I think they look pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paint on that Stingray. So I'm just going to rinse this brush out a little bit, and then I can go back and do bubbles. I want to make sure I have enough time. And the Stingray is very simple because it's a silhouette, okay? So this Stingray is supposed to be swimming up. So I didn't put both of his sides on, I only put the one side on. If you go on the internet, you can actually print out coloring book pages. And those coloring book pages, you can get the silhouette and you just can trace it on. All right, I happened to do that one freehand. I got lucky. We'll see if I can do it again. So let's see. I'm going to look at my example painting in the back there to guide me. All right, and I'm just loading my brush with black, okay, carbon black, and I'll come up about here and make a little head. Okay, so I'm just using the brush as it is. It's a filbert. I'm just making the little head like the filbert, and I'm just watching the shape. Now he has a little bit of a side here, and then the side comes down into a little bit of a straightness there. So I'm just doing a little bit of an outline for now. Now, from the bottom of his little head there, there's this wing that comes out, and it's kind of like this shape. All right, so I'm just kind of drawing it on right now. Now, I know a lot of people can't, might not be able even to do this, but like I said, just print a little something out from the internet and go ahead and trace it on, okay? So now that I have that on, now I'll fill it in. All right, so I'm just still using the filbert brush. Now I can come back to my straight brush to, really kind of get that nice and crisp edge and all. So, because I can see I have a little bit of a, lining there that probably shouldn't be there. So I do have a straight brush. I have a little angle brush here. Okay, and I could just go in my black and load that up. And then I can come in with this chisel edge and go along the edge, and I can neaten that right up, okay? That's it, neaten it up. Now, there's a little part on the bottom, and that little part on the bottom, all I have to do is use the shape of the filbert and pull it in. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that angle I was on, but all I did, I'll try to hold it this way, was push the brush down and pull it in, okay? So I don't know what his little part there is called. That's just at the bottom of him. So I'll come in again, and I'm just trying to neaten up a little. This is a little pointier here, so I'm going to use the point of the brush. That's why you just want to have a few different brushes, okay? An angle brush, a flat brush, a filbert, just a variety, and you'll learn to switch them back and forth. And I think that looks pretty good. If I work on it anymore, he'll start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It'll be the biggest Stingray ever. So I may just leave it like that. Now what I do have to do, which is the hardest part of all, is to put his, I don't know what that's called, if it's a tail or not, but to put that line, okay, and that's what makes him look like a stingray and not a bird or something else, okay? So what I'm doing is I am flattening the brush, okay, and I'll hold this up to show you. I'm flattening the brush. I want a really sharp chisel edge and not too much paint. So I'm kind of moving it along here, okay? And that is a really nice chisel edge. Now you need a good brush to do this. You can't use brushes from the craft store to get this kind of a chisel edge. You need a good brush for this, okay? So the Deco Art Traditions brushes are very good for this. Now, I need to pull up a line, okay? So if I start at the tip here, I'm just going to pull it right into him. And I see I have a little part there that I want to fix, okay? Just because I really would like this to be a little neater there. So I need a little more paint there. And I'm just going to fix that little part, okay? I got a little fray in my brush there and it showed. So I'll go back again, and here we go. That's a nice chisel edge, double checking it, and let's see. I can only do this, I got one shot at this, so I'm just going to start at a couple inches away and pull it right up into him. So I'm going to hold my breath right now. Okay, I got lucky. I did have to hold my breath and I had to stop talking. All right, so now I can just fill this in a little, and you know what? I got lucky with that. It looks pretty good. So what I want to do is, my brushes are drying a little, so I am going to wash them off a bit, all right? So I'm just rinsing them in the bottom of my water. Now, the way you can embellish this a little bit is you can take a little bit of white with a little bit of the black, and you can make a gray. And you can actually come on top of your little Stingray and you can put a little gray in here, okay? And what I would do is come in and just kind of dab a little, but it's dry, my paint's drying very fast, but that's okay. And this way, this will maybe look like a little reflection from the water, all right? So I don't know if you can see that gray. I can make it a little whiter just so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm just put a little more white in there. And I can just come in here and dab a little bit up top here, all right? And this is something you don't have to do. You can just keep it a silhouette. I just wanted to show you a little something extra. So you don't have to do this. What I did was I just came in and put a little bit of that lightness to kind of make it look like the light is kind of showing on him. And you can do a little bit on his head here too. Now I would change brushes normally because this is not exactly the right brush for a beginner to use. I'm using a straight edge on a round area. You would want to go to a round brush, okay? It'd be easier for you. So I'm just kind of rubbing this in. So that kind of looks like maybe there's a reflection on top of him now. And I do like the way that looks. I almost want to make it a little lighter, okay? So I'm going to come in again because I like how that looks. And I'm going to put a little bit up here, okay? I'm just dabbing it. Like I said, it's okay to do it that way. And I'll rub it in a little. It's drying really, really fast. And a little bit more over here. And to me, that looks like, okay, a little bit of reflection up top. So that light is now shining on the top of him as he's swimming up to the top there, okay? So I have a little more time. I'll come in and do another bubble. And I'm going to try to do with one brush this time. Rather than switch the brushes back and forth, just going to come in with the filbert brush, okay? So back to the ultramarine. I'm starting with my darkest color. And I love the idea of doing the big bubbles, okay? So I'll do one more bubble, then I'm going to show you how to put some of that white on there that I have, like the bubbles coming up from the bottom. All right, so let's see. Let me do one more big bubble, I think down here in this lighter area. So, this way it's dark light, like I always say, all right? So here we go. I'm going to do another big bubble, all right? Wipe off my brush. I'll go into I think I'll go to Cerulean. There's my circle. Just gonna blend a little. So now, like I said, I'm just using the one brush. I'm wiping it off, gonna gently blend. Gonna put a little bit of white. So you can kind of see that there is a couple different ways that you could do these bubbles. You have to try it for yourself and see what you think looks best and what you like the best. All right, I'm coming into some white now. Same brush, didn't wash it. I'll come in, put that highlight up top and come down at the bottom, outline a little. And let's see how that looks. I'll stand back a little. Yeah, it's a lopsided bubble, but that's okay. All right, so I'm just gonna wash this off a little bit. I wanna show you now how I did that white, that white coming up. I guess it looks like, I tried to make it look like, bubbles coming from the bottom. So very simply, I took my brush and picked up my palette and just dipped it right into the white paint. So I randomly put some dots in little groups, okay? Now, I'm gonna have to do this fast because it's drying pretty quickly. And I'm just coming up, letting it run out of paint. I want it to come up. I'm going some lighter, darker, not lighter and darker, I'm sorry, bigger or smaller. All right, I'm just gonna let it run out. So right there, it doesn't look like too much yet. However, I took a mop brush, and what I did with this one, this is a soft white mop, all I did was I came and squished it a bit. Okay, that's it. I didn't want it looking like polka dots, like I have there. Okay, so all I did was I came up and squished it a bit, okay, and that gives that little illusion. Now, mine is going a little straight up. I like the idea of making it curved, all right? Now, before I go on, let me just tell you about this mop brush, okay? This mop brush, once you wet it, you can't use it, okay? So you need to just use it as a dry brush. You can wash it and then you leave it to dry naturally, all right? So let me do another one. I'm gonna hold my brush in my hand. This way I could be quicker about it. And I'll just do a little bit more down here. And let me come up the side a little. I like the idea that it's not so straight, you know, when it gets a little crooked like. And just dabbing, and I want it to be a different height than this one. And I'm coming back again and just dabbing. Okay, so there we go. So now these little dots that came in here, I didn't want polka dots, but the paint dried a little fast. So this one you can see a little down here. I like the way this looks better. So you do have to be a little quick. If you have to use the blending medium, I would definitely, for that, use the blending medium. Now I'm going to do one more, okay, and I think I'll put that one right about here. So I'm just going to go quicker, and what I can do is I can start to use the blending mop before I finish, and this way I won't get those dots that I didn't want, okay? I want one to come up higher. Okay, by me putting one up higher, it's kind of aiming up at the Stingray, all right? So that's a little trick you can do. Anytime you aim something, the viewer's eye will start to look that way. So I'm kind of aiming it, all right? So let me see what else. I think that was it. I want to make sure I didn't forget anything. What I did was I had 9 bubbles, okay? I may have time to do one more. 9 bubbles, 3 of these bubble lines, and 1 Stingray, okay? I had everything an uneven number. So when the viewer looks at it, the painting, the viewer's gonna look all over, okay? So I have time to do one more bubble, and back to my filbert brush, okay? And I think I can use one right above here. And let me just get this one in. Now that might be a little too dark. See how that might be a little bit too dark for that? That's okay. I can just go to my lighter blue and just come right over it a little bit. I can put a little white, lighten it up a little, okay? I didn't want it that dark up on top. So I'm gonna go to more white, and the blue is already in there, and then I could just come down here. That's better. And I can just blend that a little bit, all right? There we go. And I will come back to the white. Do my little highlight on top. There's my highlight. Outline a little bit along the bottom, and there you have it, okay? So how many did I do there? I did 6. So I need to do one more, which I will do in a couple minutes, but for now, I'm going to stop here, and I hope that you like this painting, and add as much as you want. Add a lot of bubbles. You can add glitter to the bubbles if you really want to get creative. There's a lot you can do with a simple painting like this. Thanks for tuning in, and please take a look at my other shows.